So as we take the opportunity to put a face on what we've been talking about, we have a couple caregivers here today who have offered to share some of the stories. Kathy Vena will talk first, I think, and then Cynthia Cardoza.
9 years ago, my husband told me that he was forgetting things. He was 62 years old. He was a marathon runner. He was a healthy guy. And I was shocked. I hadn't seen any evidence of it. And I'm a nurse. I was trained to be observant, but there was nothing. After that day, I said, well, when we see the doctor in a couple of weeks, we'll tell him and we'll see what he has to say. But when he raised my awareness of it, I started to look more carefully, and I did see things. At the first visit with the doctor, he passed the mini-mental exam, which I came to hate and resent. It caused so much pain for him to be asked the same questions over and over and over when he couldn't answer any of them within a short period of time. But my husband deteriorated very quickly. He was still able to drive at the beginning, and I was still working. And he had an accident, a car accident, for the reasons that Paulette said. He ran into a tree because he had difficulty with perception. His spatial problems were great, even at the beginning. The accident changed everything for us because it took him from what probably was early Lewy body disease to very advanced, because he was very badly injured in the accident. He had 3 surgeries in 5 days, and the man that came home from the hospital after 20 days was not the man that went in. He never regained the majority of his abilities, and he needed full-time caregiving after that period. So I didn't have the experiences of him out in the community getting lost, because he never went anywhere without me. I left my job to become a full-time caregiver. We still hadn't gotten the Lewy body diagnosis, because anybody who's dealt with Lewy body knows, number one, it doesn't come easy. It came closer to the end of the disease, and it's presumptive because it can't be diagnosed until autopsy. You might want to, if you haven't already, that's what Robin Williams had, and he took care of his problem by himself. Anyway, when I kind of figured, I knew that he had some kind of neurodegenerative illness, and this was not going to end well for us, made the decision to leave my job, to stay home, to be his 24-hour caregiver. And the goal was to live our lives as normally as possible for as long as possible, and to do all the things that we had planned on doing, to travel, the things that you dream about when you're getting close to retirement, the things that you have the time to enjoy and the money to spend on it. And most of those things didn't happen. Really, on airports are nightmares, absolute nightmares. And so the travel to Sanibel Island that we did every year ended rather rapidly, and our lives became smaller and smaller and smaller. So 2 months ago, I was sitting at the board meeting at Bristol Elder Services, and I heard about the concept of the dementia-friendly community. And I asked myself, what would it have looked like for him? What would it look like for me as the caregiver if the community was dementia-friendly? And the community would be accessible, the community would be inclusive, and the community would be supportive. And most people are lovely, they're nice, they're helpful, they're kind, but there are people out there who are not. And so as Nancy knows, the bane of my existence was the market, the grocery store. At this point in our lives, he was able to walk. He was ambulatory and he was continent. I'm a nurse, so if I talk graphically, please forgive me if you're not. But the bane of my existence was the grocery store. We had eliminated almost every other place. I took him to the doctor, the dentist, the barber. I went to the public library for my own sanity, and we went to the grocery store, and that was our life. And that was okay if it all went well, but it didn't. And the problems were a couple. When we'd go into the grocery store, it was a busy place. Everybody's in a hurry. People are impatient. And he had had one speed. And I was in the market one day, and Nancy also knows this one. I also had, because other responsibilities don't go out of your life when you become a caregiver for a person with dementia. I had my 90-year-old mother and my 96-year-old aunt in the market, and we had a wagon train. My husband with my cart, my mother with hers, my aunt with hers, 2 fractured hips and dementia. And we're walking along, and I thought I had everything under control until I heard, "Move!" And I turned around, and there was a man in my husband's face, screaming at him, "Get out of my way, you move!" And I walked over and I said to him, "Shut up." And then I thought, okay. I said, please, please at least try to be kind. Look at him. And I was so hurt for him. He was a great guy. He didn't deserve it. And I thought, this isn't a bad man. He's not a bad man. He's a man who doesn't understand what he's saying. And if he did, he'd be better. So education in the community is vitally important so people can recognize a person with dementia and can have some of the skills to deal with them, to help him move on away. There were better ways to handle a situation, and that never happened again. But other things did. The looks, this, when somebody would be trying to engage with him, that's terrible. Look at him and go like this to somebody else. He wasn't crazy, he was sick. But the thing that really brought me to my knees, frankly, was bathrooms. And Lewy body dementia is, you also have Parkinsonism with it. So my husband had the double whammy of losing all his cognitive ability and a lot of his physical ability as well because of the Parkinson's disease. He fairly early on lost the use of his hands, fine motor control, so he couldn't unbutton his pants. And I learned the hard way because we were in a market, as we always were, and he went into the men's room and I waited outside, standing guard, waiting for him to come out. And people went in and people came out. People went in and people came out, and he didn't. I finally stopped a man and I said, "My husband's in there, could you see if he needs help?" Well, my husband came out with him, and my husband was wet, saturated, and he had never been incontinent. He couldn't unbuckle his pants, and he had the urgency to go. So I put him behind the wagon to preserve some of his dignity, and we walked out of the grocery store. And of course, the next day, I was at CVS buying Depends. But the problem with grocery stores is this, and it's not just a problem for people with dementia, it's a problem for anybody who needs a caregiver's attendance in the bathroom. My husband could not go in without somebody. He couldn't undress, he couldn't toilet, he couldn't clean himself. And so I had to go in there. So in the market, you go in and you make the decision. If he said, "Oh my God, I have," sometimes he didn't even tell me. It was just behavioral change that I knew he had to go to the bathroom. And so I'd go up and hope for the best, because there are family bathrooms are few and far between, and they are, believe me, a godsend when they're there. They preserve your ability to take care of this person with dignity, take the time. Sometimes it required a change of clothing. And where are they? Target has one, but the grocery stores did not. So you go up and you say, okay, I have to make a decision now. Do I go into the ladies' room with him, or do I go into the men's room with him? I'm comfortable going into the men's room. I really don't care. I have a job to do, and I have to do it. And if I offend people, I'm sorry. But so this one particular day, I went to the men's room. I went into, and there was nobody around. If there was somebody around, I would say, could you stand by the door while I go in with my husband? And people are nice and they're accommodating, and they do that, but you shouldn't have to do it, is my point. So I'm in Market Basket, by the way, and lovely store, I like it a lot. And I went into the men's room, I opened the door and the coast was clear. So I went in with him, and we were in there quite a long time. I finally got him straightened out. And all of a sudden, a flurry of guys came in to use the urinal. and I'm behind, you know, whatever they hit, behind the wall. And I was thinking, like, you know, the Wizard of Oz, don't pay any attention to the woman behind the curtain. But it's, you know, it's a little bit tough. More embarrassing for them. I couldn't have cared less. I had seen it all. So, you know, but I'm behind there, and I'm looking, and I'm seeing shoes. You know, when I didn't see any more feet, I said, okay, now it's time to make our quick getaway. And out we went, and smack dab to this guy who opened the door and saw me, and I said, don't worry, I'm a nurse. But, you know, it was extraordinarily painful. And the bathroom was the thing that made us stay home way before we had to. Because a few of those, and you lose the heart to do it anymore. You know, it's just too tough. So I'm a big advocate for family restrooms. I know that everybody isn't going to retrofit their building to put in this wonderful place, but could somebody work on other things that could be done to live with what you have until you can put a family restroom in? There are strategies that we could put in place to make it easier for people like me to take care of people like him. My husband died last year. He was 70 years old, and from the day that he told me that he had been forgetting things, he never had it was never good. It was a steady downhill slide. And I think the efforts that, you know, that we hope to make will make it easier for people like me, so you don't have a nutty, traumatized person like I am right now, and I think I am traumatized by all the things that happen. It could be a little bit, you can't take it all away, because it's really not a good thing at all, but it can be easier, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.